What's up? Welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for clicking on it. And for anyone that's been here for a while, I feel like we would, vibe out in person. I keep joking about going out and doing something in breakfast, but I'm coming to realize there's actually a fair amount of people that are like somewhat close to me. So maybe one day. But today, of all days, we are going to do a little bit of a conversation around collectibles that are making headlines you haven't heard about or will be making headlines. I know we've done a whole lot around trading cards, and I thought that I'd spruce it up a little bit to try to cover a wide range of things. So we have the McDonald's sticks. Yes, the lovely NHL giveaways where we've had Tim Hortons do a whole card series. Now we have McDonald's giving away sticks. We have a Hello Kitty and Labubu collab where they have a very, very expensive specific one, but then they also have some blind boxes that are a little bit less expensive. We have Lego partnering with everybody under the sun, and the most recent one is F1, so we're going to take a peek at that. But because I know some of you are going to be here for card-related things, let's go over a current story that is making its rounds regarding PSA, the card grading company. Here we go again. A collector submitted a PSA 10 Space Fissure Deoxys from the 2004 lenticular movie Verse Pack promo to be reholdered. Why reholder? New certs and labels can fetch higher prices. Old certs are believed to have had looser grading standards, and PSA has since tightened their grading guidelines, especially on vintage cards. Speaking of higher prices, the last known sale of this Deoxys was February 22nd for $45,000. Some collectors say it's worth $60,000 plus. PSA damaged the card during encapsulation. It went from a PSA 10 to a PSA 6. What? PSA is offering compensation based on their fair market value. $20,000 for the PSA 10, minus $750 for the PSA 6. That's $19,250 plus refunding the $188.99 grading fee. PSA is offering more than 50% below market value. Their evaluation is based on average sold prices, not the actual $45,000 comp from 3 weeks ago, and there's a catch. If the collector publicly discloses the settlement offer, PSA can rescind it. The collector's now fighting for fair compensation and has to provide more verified comps. This is why people are terrified sending high-end cards to grading companies. Would you risk it? So the fact that the collector is willing to potentially forego all of it to make it a public story is quite interesting. Oddly enough, my takeaway from that happening is, well, if we have a lot of people that are getting their cards reholdered, does that mean that the ones that have the vintage PSA stamps on them are getting scarcer and scarcer? So does that incident kind of start a little bit of a conversation around the old certifications from PSA? Well, at the same time, we have Tag that's starting to get in the limelight, and just, it's funny. There's a news story that happens every single day in the world of collectibles. Am I crazy to say this is like maybe one of the worst looking sets of cards that I've ever seen? Takashi Murakami, the famous artist, they got into NFTs, they did digital collectibles, they decided they were going to go into trading cards, and now there's an entire sheet, which you can see here, is signed by them, that they're going for sale. And you might be looking at like a smaller screen, so maybe pause, zoom in, or see if you can, if you're on mobile, squeeze in a little bit. But like, these are so hard to see from afar, and I feel like there's just way too much happening around it. Maybe it's just like the bright and exciting colors, but I am just straight up not really feeling it. I'm not feeling it. Riftbound just did their Spirit Forge launch like a week or two ago, maybe a bit more. And we are already having the fourth set conversation. Vendetta will introduce connecting art to Riftbound, which this is cool. That's great. I absolutely love it. If you play League of Legends, feel free to hit me up and message me. We got a group where we occasionally play, and I'm trying to see if they will get into Riftbound, because I need to learn how to play it. And again, there is a free variant that's not official for Riftbound, but the League of Legends community is insane. And you might have seen some of the videos that have been circulating where in League of Legends, the game itself, they are trying out proximity chat. So if you think of in Warzone, where I think you have the option to like toggle that on or off. And so if you're fighting with another group, they can, crap talk you. You can crap talk them. Doesn't work if you don't say the shiitake mushrooms variation of that. But in League of Legends, the toxicity from everybody typing is otherworldly. I haven't seen anything that's insane from Riftbound, and maybe just TCG players are a little bit nicer. But the League of Legends community is massive. If that group of people really, really buy into Riftbound, which we've seen some notable individuals like LS, who was a massive, massive streamer, I think Riftbound is probably going to be the card game that just automatically ends up going into second place when you're looking at the world of Pokemon, Magic the Gathering. Maybe that's like a super hyperbolic thing to say, but the community around that is massive. And the fact also, when I'm looking around, so I was watching Talarian College, the professor. If you've ever seen him, he's got a YouTube channel. And now he's streaming on Whatnot in his most recent video, which I thought was really interesting. But he was opening the most recent Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Magic the Gathering set and talking about how it was like $400 for 12 packs. And like you go to a store and apparently like the MSRP is like $40 for it. I'm like, oh my God. Some of these are so expensive. So is there a way that the plane, the expense, the hierarchy right now ends up getting shifted? I think it does pretty massively. So we'll see. This is the weirdest headline that I wouldn't have expected we'd be talking about here. So McLaren, the car company, McLaren Racing. Take a look at this. A McLaren's fan guide, MCL Collect 2026. So what the hell is this? Well, they start off by saying digital collectibles. And if this is your first time clicking on a video and you have no idea like the history, we covered digital collectibles at length for a few years. So McLaren is getting into digital collectibles at a time when they're probably like the least hot sector. Like there's physical gaming, there's collecting anything else, and then there's digital collecting. But the community that's in it is hardcore. So there's that. Are they trying to tap into it? Should I be buying any? And how can I get one? Your key questions answered. And then they got to start it off with like a strong note. You know what I mean? Like you got to go. Have you ever done like a sales pitch and you go in and you're like, all right, listen, I got to be confident because if I'm not confident, they're not going to be confident. The art of collecting is nothing new. At some point, we're all likely to have owned sports trading cards of some form, listen to our parents' vinyl collection, or flick through our grandparents' shiny coin album. Every time we talk about digital collectibles, it has to be this like little hand-holding experience of like, hey, we're gonna like go down this. And I know you're probably immediately going to reject this and hate everything about it, but we're gonna try nonetheless. Digital collectibles are essentially an online version of this. And it's funny too, because like as I'm saying this, evidently within League of Legends, there's character skins. Fortnite, there's character skins. There's all these digital collectibles, but it's just looked at in such a negative way if it has anything to do with like blockchain. It's an exciting way for fans to engage with the illustrious racing history of McLaren Racing by owning a digital slice of our past or future success. Okay, interesting verbiage, but that doesn't make them easy to understand. So it's likely that you will have plenty of questions. Don't worry, you're not alone. So they explain what digital collectibles are. What does this have to do with McLaren? Because that's what we wanted. We've already got through like what the hell are digital collectibles. For the 2026 Formula One season, we're leveling up our digital collectibles program, MCL or Collect, which is now powered by Hedera, which is a blockchain. Across the season, fans can collect 4 unique sets of 6 free-to-claim digital collectibles starting from round 1 in Melbourne. Each set is based on a completely different art style, ensuring every drop feels fresh, distinctive, and stands out in its own right. Now, I want to say that it was Red Bull F1. If anybody's watching right now and you know what I'm talking about for Abstract Chain, they had a specific free digital collectible redemption, and it was like limited time, but it was only on Abstract. This feels like that's sort of the same thing. I'm curious if it like ends up being paid, because if I remember correctly, what happened was like you had free claims, but if you wanted to buy like the special editions, whatever, it was like $2 to $5 to $10, whatever. Once claimed, fans can trade their digital collectibles on the secondary marketplace, buying any that they don't have or selling to another member of the Papaya family who may have missed out. So one of the big things with these digital collectibles is people launching them within a free mantra and then hoping people trade them on the secondary market. Because let's say you buy a Hot Wheel in person right now, if you decide that you're going to sell it to a friend, well, Hot Wheels doesn't get anything from it. On these digital collectible sides, even if they sell it for $1, maybe there's 5, 10 cents of that. And if you can scale it to thousands, to hundreds of thousands, to millions of people, the royalties on that would end up happening quite quickly, which then goes back to the point of Magic the Gathering, Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast, all of them talking about their digital collecting focus. Do they change their marketplace where something sort of like that happens? So let's see if there's anything else worth noting. If anyone can view the data online with digital. Okay, here we go. So what do these offer, right? Like what's the use case, if anything? Or are these strictly just a bet on the future success of McLaren Racing, as they've worded earlier? We've been dropping digital collectibles since 2021. See, I'm a fish. I feel like we've never looked at anything McLaren digital-wise. Our debut drop celebrated the Italian Grand Prix winning MCL 35M, which we split into 22 parts for you to collect and create your own interactive 3D model. The MCL 35M was such hot property that we followed it up with the Golf liveried McLaren, also split into 22 parts that Lando drove to the podium in the 2021 Monaco Grand Prix. So if you're not into racing, or if you are into racing, how do you view this? You think, that's neat. I don't care. I do think that the idea of digital collecting and offering something unique that people can follow along on a journey to accompany experiencing something is awesome. But again, why the heck is McLaren now coming across the news regarding digital collectibles? And we've covered it for years, and I feel like I've not talked about anything regarding McLaren before. So the McDonald's, they always get the stars. This is what's interesting, because I feel like at a point regarding trading cards, you open a pack and you get basically a chance at one superstar, but 90% of the time, it's like some player you don't care about, has no value, whatever. So McDonald's changed that on its head a little bit, where they're giving out these mini sticks, as you can see here, but they are only partnering with the top players to do it. If you see these, does your first instinct say, yeah, that's kind of cool? And again, these are not massive by any means. You just open the flap, you have the character, signature on the box, and then a mini stick. The amount of people that I have seen looking for specific players willing to trade, trying to create full sets of this, is absolutely absurd. Now, this is on like local Facebook groups, whatever else under the sun, but I am floored at the demand for these, because I look at that and I'm like, okay, you know what, like that's kind of cool, but I don't know, that's going to be just something that sits on my shelf. But it's easily accessible, it's not expensive, and you're going to get somebody that's notable. So it's actually really brilliant, and I love it. So then we go on to Labubu, which I don't ever think once in my life I was like, yeah, you know what? I want to get a Labubu. And not that I'm saying I want to now, but I feel the Hello Kitty accessory, listen, it's not too bad. So they have a bunch of blind boxes that you're able to get that aren't necessarily the Hello Kitty specific one, because that Hello Kitty one, $150 plus tax and everything else. So when you end up paying $150 for the Labubu Hello Kitty, and then you say no in your head, but, think of it for how many people are going out and buying things to then flip it later. Is this something that you believe could be flipped? Yes or no? And speaking of flipping, looking through, in October of this year, Gundam, which is having some pretty decent success with their trading card game, is coming out with Gundam Assemble. growing up, there was a few people that I knew whose siblings had a massive table setup for these type of tabletop games. Warhammer was huge. You go down the list. But realistically, I don't know if I ever actually took time to play any of these. So we watched the trailer. I don't know if it really does anything for me, but the fact that Gundam, again, is a massive IP that are expanding into this realm, I think is really, really neat. I also got educated, quite educated, I might add, when I uploaded a video talking about Warhammer, saying I loved when I put together the miniatures growing up, spray painting them black, gluing them together, and then like doing whatever color variants for it. Some people were really good at it, and you can see awesome setups over the years from people. And I made the comment that I don't see Warhammer anymore, and I got educated right quick that no, it's still around and it's a really big deal. And so I was at a store the other day, and the whole corner section of it was just Warhammer, and I was like, okay, I need to listen. I need to get out more. But for these, I mean, I think it's hard enough if I was to say, go to your local game store and try to find people that you can play the Gundam TCG in person with. You might have the odd store that's all about it, but I think it'd be pretty difficult to find. But you'd find people eventually at these stores. To find people that are down to play tabletop games, I feel it's such a smaller subset of people. But I mean, if you can... It's about like the 100 or 1,000 first fans, that if you have enough people that are interested in it and just passionate about that single thing, who the hell am I to say anything? But I'm curious what this looks like, of like how many people get into it to like aggressively play the game versus just getting it to collect, paint, showcase, and have the cool imagery about. You know what I mean? Have that cool imagery about. So then as I'm doing research earlier, there's like 500 articles about the F1 Lego set, and F1 is partnered with absolutely everybody. Why wouldn't they? Because they're Lego. But partnering with different racers, you get the little Lego character, the full-sized helmet of all of this, and the price, $89.99. So when we looked at the Hello Kitty Labubu collaboration, and this is where you get to pretend. Have you ever played the video game developer Tycoon? It was like an indie game where you were able to make different choices based off this game, and then it would try to make these games, develop it, and sometimes they would do good, sometimes you'd run out of money, the shop would have to close down, sometimes you'd have a game that's a massive hit, but it was all about a simulation in a way. So pretend that you're playing a flipping simulation right now. What do you think would end up doing better? The Lego F1 helmets that we're looking at, right? That are cheaper, I might add, at $89.99, or the Labubu Hello Kitty that we just looked at for $149.99. If you had to pick 1 year later, which would you put your money on? That's going to be it for this session. Thank you so much for coming on through. And again, if you guys are going out to any card shows this weekend that's related to Pokemon cards, if you want to scan that QR code right next to me for Synced, it'll give you kind of an update of roughly what the price is, so you can kind of barter your way with the different vendors that are out there. There's social components, more TCGs coming, and all of that good jazz. But I hope you have a phenomenal rest of your weekend, as it is Friday. So some of you are probably, depending on where you are in the world, maybe already on Saturday. So hope you enjoy it. Thank you for coming on through. If you made it all the way, we would appreciate any likes on the video, but I will see you again soon. Peace.